Hello, everybody. It's Kate Richberg, and it is Wednesday, November 3rd, and I am live from a remote location. It's great to have all of you guys here. I'm still kind of kitting out. You can see there's a that way, I guess. The step stool, and there isn't stuff on the walls yet, and there's still stuff that's wrapped up over there, but it's getting there, and I actually got everything working so I can broadcast. So it's great to have all of you all here. And look, I think you can hear me. I think you can see me, which is fantastic. Well, thank you so much, as I said, for joining me today. It's all about earrings today on Beadshop Live. So I packed a little bag from the office, and I've got all kinds of stuff to share with you guys today. I think you guys are really going to love it. So I see all the comments here, and we've got Gita all the way across the miles in Denmark doing our moderating over there on Facebook, and I know that Janice will be jumping on soon for YouTube. So it's great to have everybody here today for my premiere broadcast from my remote location in the beautiful Central Valley of California. So here we are. I guess we should get started. All right, so let me get these glasses on. Let me add this camera in here, and let me show you guys what I've got. Let me see if I can kind of arrange. My setup is a little bit, oh, look, there's my lap. Nice, very nice. Let me see if I can get this set up all ready to go here. It's going to be a work in progress, you guys. So you will see the space evolve over the times that you join me. And yes, let me. Carrie is asking about some of the things. We'll have to play what's in the background, right? So Carrie, you did spy, I'll show you here. You did spy my spinning wheel, which is right there, one of my three that I have, which is crazy. And you can see my machine right back there. You can see also the setup, how I do this with my iPhone. Someday I'll do a tutorial because I know you guys have questions sometimes about how I broadcast. So I'll have to do a tutorial sometime on how we actually do it. So anyway, so yes, that's what's going on there. So I have some things, some kind of unruly things here on my desktop, and I grabbed the oh, is Janice here? Did Janice jump on? There she is. Excellent. Good morning, JP. Yes, we got her YouTube name back, so that's all set. So Janice is now Janice Parsons once again. So I grabbed some stuff from the office thinking about this broadcast. Okay. And earrings, as my mom will attest to, earrings have always been a favorite for me to make. They're fast, they're user friendly, they're fun. Everyone loves them. They make great gifts when you can surprise people with a bunch of, quick earrings, and they'll have a whole new earring wardrobe. It's really fun. So that's what I thought I would do for you guys today, is this kind of fast and friendly and fun earring broadcast. So this is when I left the office on Friday. I shoved a whole bunch of stuff in a bag, and this is it. So it's over on the website. So of course, you guys, you can always jump in and find all of the information on the product and the project that I'm doing today if you hop right over to our website at beadshop.com. And for sneak peeks and stuff, you guys, you can follow us at beadshop.com on our Instagram. Join us over at the Bead Table on Facebook and like and subscribe to us on our YouTube channel, whether you're watching live or on the replay. It really means a lot to us. So that's my little plug for our social there. So this list of stuff, when you're making earrings, okay, when you're creating earrings, there are some must-haves that that you need in order to be successful and to be able to, what I like to say is create with wild abandon, right? So that you just have everything ready to go so you can just make, and make. Okay. So let me show you what I grabbed. I grabbed some beads, and I grabbed some beads in a color palette so that they would all work together. Okay. So I grabbed these ovals. You guys love them so much. We have a few left, but they're going to be restocking soon. These are the African turquoise. African turquoise isn't actually turquoise, it's actually a jasper, and these are matte. So they're a great shape for earrings, so I grabbed those. I grabbed this 8mm and the 5mm rondelles here, the check glass rondelles. And I grabbed these guys here because they are multicolored. So it gives me a lot of choice. We've got some green, we've got this kind of bone color, we've got some, these are actually, they look black, but they're actually like a dark red. Um, uh, Picasso there and a matte Picasso. So you've got a lot going on with this strand. And then I wanted something small as well. So I grabbed these ivory mercury. Then I grabbed some drops, also in a multicolor strand like this. Okay. And the multicolored strand has a bunch of different colors on it, obviously. So we'll be able to play around with those guys here. Okay. You guys are saying such nice things. Thank you so much for all of your kind words. I see, Shirley, these lives are the highlight of my week. Thank you so much. That warms my heart. Thank you. Thank you. It's great to have everybody here. I know a few of you are watching that are brand new, which is great to have you for your first time viewing. And those of you who are seasoned viewers, it's great to have you all here. So thank you for that. And then, of course, we've got some rounds. I've got a 4mm fire polish and a 6mm fire polish. Now, earrings are great stash busters. So we have these listed up on the website. You can grab some, certainly. It's a good variety to have. But you can also go diving into what you might have in your bead stash at home. Okay. So this is also our rectangles. We debuted these a while back as well, and they've been kind of a quote unquote fan favorite. So I grabbed these rectangles as well. So let me talk to you about what these beads have in common, okay? Other than A, they're beads, and two, they're kind of in this same color family. These guys all have some shape to them. And what I say about shape is that when you make an earring, and sometimes I call it, in my basic earring class that we would teach over at Beadshop, or I would teach subsequently in my store in San Francisco, we would talk about 3 beads on a pin, and we'd talk about how each of those 3 beads, and sometimes there are more than 3, right? But that was kind of our little, what do I want to say, shorthand about talking about just a simple earring, right? 3 beads on a head pin. Each one of those beads has to have some thought behind it, right? So that's why I chose beads that have some shape to them. Okay. So our shape, I've got these ovals. Sarah just asked, do we broadcast every week? We do, Sarah. Every Wednesday and Friday, we broadcast live on our various social media outlets for Beadshop. Every Wednesday and Friday, same time, 10:30 a.m. Pacific, 1:30, Mike, 10:30, 11:30, 12:30, yes, 1:30 p.m. Eastern. So 10:30 a.m. Pacific, 1:30 p.m. Eastern, and then they're all archived on our social channels. So you'll be able to rewatch them. As Janice says, and this is something we toss around a lot in the store as well, we would say each bead has to have curb appeal, and it's so true. Like when you do a necklace, maybe you find like that one perfect bead and you just put it on cord, right? Whoops, sorry, I was taking off Janice's comment there. Sorry about that. Um, when you have just that one perfect bead and you put it on cord, right? That one perfect bead has to have a lot of curb appeal because that bead is highlighted in the design. Same thing with earrings that are 3 beads on a pin, right? Each bead has to have some kind of a say something. And thank you, Lynette. That's 12:30 p.m. Central. Thank you. Sometimes uh, I can't always remember what the Central Time Zone is. So thank you for that. Um, so I'm pulling out all these beads. I'm cutting them up and I'm putting them in our little rectangle trays. So I am ready to um, to jump in and make. My mom will attest to the fact when she and I make earrings together, we really production line these suckers, right? So that you have everything out so you're ready to go and you just kind of add things in, right? You don't think because everything is here. Okay. So you're kind of ready to just design and not think. And you'll see me do that because I'm going to do a whole bunch of things in real time. Just a quick question. Gita asked, and since we were talking about times, that yes, we will be switching to daylight savings time next week here in California. So on Sunday, we turn the clocks back an hour. So those of you who are in time zones that don't change, or in countries maybe that change later, etc., you'll see our times change just a little bit. Um, and then, but daylight savings um, uh, ends, I guess. It doesn't begin. I guess it ends on Sunday. So here are my beads up there. Now let's talk about the building blocks of earrings. Okay, I've got some fancier things over here, but I'm going to push those aside for a second. Let me pull that up a little bit. I'm still getting used to this new setup in my remote location, so bear with me here. And Alice has a great observation about her beads, and I'm going to show you that. She says the uniqueness and quality of the beads is what draws shopper to my table at craft shows. That could not be more true, Alice. What we used to do um, in my San Francisco store when I had my bead shop, Beadissimo, in the Mission, I would have my staff always knew that it was going to be a really fun day when I got out the muffin tin and I started to put beads in it, and we all sat around the work table and we made earrings for our earring display, right? And we would have this earring display right by our checkout counter, and the earrings were really inexpensive. They were like 10, maybe $15 a pair, so they were kind of a impulse buy, I think, for a lot of people. But the beads that we chose were very unique and interesting. And so this 3 beads on a pin kind of outlook to this makes for a really fast seller, especially if you are doing like little craft shows or holiday shows or things like that. Those 3 beads on a pin are super convenient and fast. Now you can see here sometimes your head pins come and they're not quite perfect and straight. Now if I were back at the office, I would be able to grab my wire straightening plier and straighten them out. But since I'm not. And I looked at my tool case, I'm like, nope, no wire straightener there. So what you could do, see how this pin is all kind of sad right here? What you could do is I keep an old Pro Polish pad that I do have in my tool case. And you can use that between your fingers to kind of help you grip the wire and straighten everything out like that. See that? So now it's kind of straight. It's straighter anyway. So that's something that I think helps if you don't have your wire straightening plier like I don't, that I don't here. Muffin tins, yes. Let's see. Who said that muffin tins? Julie said muffin tins, great idea. I like to use muffin tins when I'm designing in our brick and mortar stores when we had them. That's how people shop for beads. We'd have muffin tins with the prices on them, and people would put their beads in according to price. I also use them for designing. I get my muffin tin and I'll build that earring, maybe 3 beads, the findings, the components and stuff, and I'll toss them in that muffin tin. And before you know it, you have 12 earrings that are all ready to go, right? So that's a good way to get everything set up. Let me lift my camera here just a little bit so I've got a little more visual space. So here are my head pins and my eye pins. I've got these ball head pins here. I've got the regular head pins here, just like the little nail head that's right here on the end. These are about a 20 gauge, just slightly smaller than a 20 gauge, maybe about a 21 gauge is what we carry. We've got an eye pin. An eye pin has that loop or eye at the end. Let's see if I can get that into there we go, into focus there. And then we have some thinner gauge. I know I grabbed them. Here they are. We've got the 1.5 inch. These are all 2 inches here. Then I've got the 1.5 inch with the 24 gauge. Okay. And these are all super helpful. Really good basics to have. And I'm going to use some of all of these today. Okay. So eye pins, the ball, the eye pins here, rather, sorry, with the loop, the head pins, and these ball head pins here that I really like as well. I like that little tiny ball at the end. I also use, let me grab them because I used them in my project last week, that loomed cuff that you guys are going to be seeing again. I just put the beads away, but I'm going to grab them real quick here if I can get to it in the kind of collision course that is my space right now. But let me grab a size 8 seed bead, because if you don't have these little ball head pins, let me grab these guys here. This is that, I think that it's an 8-308. It's that blue cobalt luster, I think, that I used in the project last week. These ADOTs really give you kind of that same head pin look with the ball. So I'm going to pour a few of these out. Okay, like this. Oh, everybody, I love this. Vera is so excited. She is so excited about this earring tutorial. You need it. Yes, good, good, good. That's great. Earrings are my favorite. I just love them, love them, love them. So I'm going to pour a few of these out too. And Julie noticed, she said that, yes, my color palette is very harmonious. And that's on purpose. Number one, so I don't have to think about it too much as I'm creating for you guys, in real time, as well as it helps me to create kind of a collection, right? So that everything I make will kind of match together. Okay, so let me get these head and eye pins. I'm going to push these kind of to the side, so you've seen those here. So let's talk about other things that you're going to need for your earring odyssey. Okay, and this starts to get into things that other findings, as we call them, but the parts the parts that we use to make, the hardware that we use to make our earrings. These are lever back. We call them the vintage lever back. They're not actually vintage, but they harken back to that vintage style. A lever back I love. They open and close like so, and they have a loop down here at the bottom, especially if you're prone to losing earrings like I am sometimes. This is a full closed encompassed loop. I like these a lot. We sell them in packages of 3 pairs in a lot of different finishes, all hypoallergenic, very friendly to your ears, right? I'll put those aside. We've got these niobium ear wires that we carry, and the niobium, we carry them in this kind of gunmetal here, and we also carry them in kind of a brass, bronze, copper kind of look to it, right? These niobium, especially you guys, if you have sensitive ears or you're making these for sensitive ears, niobium is an inert metal, so you can use these without any reaction to metals. So I just love them. And I love that they have the contrast with the shiny ball and kind of the gunmetal finish to the ear wire. So they go with a lot of different types of metals. Okay. I also have some posts, and these are posts that we added last year. Our posts come with these, what they call comfort clutches, which are these little clutches here, earring backs, that have this disc on the front. And what I like about those discs is that they kind of hug the back of your ear. And if you have an earring piercing that might have stretched out a little bit, or if your earrings tend to fall forward, this clutch will alleviate that, will stop the earring back from falling forward. We carry them in a full package. This is a full package of how many pieces? 100 pieces, so 50 pair. So you can get these for all of your earrings. You can even give a few to your friends and they will love them. So these are great. These are the earring backs that are my earring back of choice. So we've got these pretty little, they're like little succulents, right? And they've got the loop there at the bottom. So if you like your earring to be closer to your ear rather than a dangle, we've got those. We've got a few others. This is the woven earring top, a little bit larger. I know this is a favorite of Janice. Janice doesn't love a dangly earring. She loves an earring that hugs her ear a little bit more. This is so great, right? I just love it, love it, love it. So this is a really pretty one. And all of the ear wires on these, you guys, are all surgical steel here. So you won't have any issue with reaction or anything like that to these wires. They're nice and sturdy. Again, about a 20 gauge is the size of those wires. Okay. And then we also carry clips, and I think we're one of the few places that still carries clips, because some people still like a clip. We did a lot of clip earrings way back in the day, especially when we would make earrings that had what do I want to say, that had a lot of cluster. Like we would do those Swarovski crystals, those big ones, and we'd make those big cluster earrings and we'd put those onto clips. But these are great for dangles here. They have a nice large surface, so they sit on the ear nicely. A nice padded back for the clip. So we do carry a variety of clips that have a little bit of style to them. Okay. So so there are those. So a variety of ear wires is, what you're going to need. Again, I'm going to put these to the side. And let's take a look at some of the other extras I've got here. Now, this is where you can really start to have fun. So when I grab, not that this isn't fun already, but when I, again, was leaving the office and trying to plan for this broadcast, I thought, I need spacers. Spacers in an earring is like a comma in a sentence, right? So here are some little, we call these the petite petal caps, little bead caps. You're going to see me use those. Let me see if I can get that into focus. There it is. I love them. Your friend and mine, the Tirahishi, I just grabbed them in kind of this silver, bright silver, which is great. And of course, another fave, the coil spacer, which is also good. Okay. And these don't usually count for the 3 beads on a pin. This is, again, like the comma in a sentence that lets your eye rest right in between the beads. Then I also grabbed a couple of findings. These are the Marrakesh components here. And you can see how they have holes in the bottom. Here, I have my little, my glue toothpick from when I can use that as a pointer. That little holes here, and here, right? You can attach this to chain up at the top, something like that, and have these dangles down below. I didn't even bring chain. That's a whole, I think that's a whole maybe Free Tip Friday when I do a chain play day and I talk about chain for earrings. These definitely have a front and a back though. Can you see how these are curved a bit? How they curve this way? It's a little hard for you to see. And then the design on the front is raised. You can see here, and not raised on the back. So you can see that this is the front of the finding, and that's the back of the finding. And then I just grabbed, these are called, we call these good times. This is just a little charm, great for a little bit of movement in your piece. I grabbed these, what we call transitions. There's the crimps, the barrel crimps from Tiara Cast. I'm going to show you how to use those in an earring. And we have a lot of different hoops. These are our medium hoops, but we have a lot of different types of just random hoop findings. They're also great for your earrings. So that's kind of the ingredients that I carry, right? That we carry at Beadshop and that I brought to this earring extravaganza. So let me start by just creating some 3 beads on a pin, okay? And this is my kind of my go-to when you start to design earrings. And like I said earlier, every bead that you put on this pin is really important because you're not using a lot of beads, right? Maybe we just have 3 beads here. So each bead that we do has to really say something, right? Or as Janice says, has to have curb appeal. So let me just start. I'm going to start with this oval. I'm going to put this oval on. I'm going to put a hishi. I'm going to put a round, a 6mm round. I'm going to put a petal. And I'm not even thinking about this, right? And this. Okay, just like so. I'm going to put that down. Now, I start to analyze this, right? Not in a kind of a crazy way, but you know, take a look at your earring. And I think, well, I like the shape, I like the negative space, I like what's going on here. But maybe I want to see this small earring or this small 4mm, pardon me, down at the bottom. So if I make changes, I keep this earring intact and I'll build one with the changes that I want to make so I can compare it. And then what you'll do is you'll find shapes that you like that you can default to later. Actually, this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to do that and this here. There we go. This is what I had in my head. Okay, so can you see a little bit of the difference here? Again, 3 beads, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. The arrangement's a little bit different. Okay, let me arrange this differently one more time. You have a drink of water here. Sorry if you guys heard that on the microphone as I was swilling that water. Let me go ahead and use this 6mm at the bottom, and let me take a look at that. I'm going to use a coil spacer, different spacer here, and then we'll put that 4mm in with the shiny spacer and no bead cap. All right, same beads. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3. So you can start to choose what it is that you like more. And you can also, if this isn't quite right, if one of these doesn't really sing, if you're not singing the praises of these guys as much, you can always, one of the tricks, let me see if I can get a little bit of a brighter light on these so you can see them a little bit better. Might be a little shadowy, but there we go. That's a little better. You can always turn these upside down. Okay, so let me build one of these. I'm going to build this one in reverse. So if it doesn't quite work for you, turn it upside down. Let me get this one and then this 6mm, and let's look at it. Okay, and I'm honing in on it here. Okay, honing in. I like these. I mean, I like this. This is okay. This isn't bad, but I really like the way that this tapers down to that small bead. So I think this one might be my favorite. I can also, if I really like that little cap with this 6mm, I can throw that cap up on there, which I think is good. So then I'll pull these away and I'll say, yeah, that's the one. So I will recreate this guy. Three beads on a pin. Now you can take that that concept of these 3 beads. So here's my first pair. Okay, and we'll ditch these. And we're getting more ovals in, you guys. You guys love them so much that you snap them up. We do have a few left, but we'll be restocking those shortly. So here's this guy, ready to go. All right. Let's take this concept of this 6mm up here, this 4mm up here, down here, and let's change out this center bead. Okay. So I'm going to get these pins. I'm going to keep using, pardon me, I'm going to keep using that 4mm at the bottom. I'm going to use that tiara hishi. I'm going to use this time the rectangle instead, right? The coiled spacer, the 6mm, and the petite petal cap. So this is exactly the same with just one bead change. Okay, maybe, and if we look at this, since this is sized down here, I'm actually going to change the 6mm bead. Feels a little big, right? I don't know. It does for me. So I'm going to scale it. I'm going to scale all of this down. Instead of using that 4mm, I'm going to use that 8/0 right there at the bottom. I'll use the hishi. I'll grab the rectangle. I'll put a hishi in instead of that coil spacer since we're sizing it down. And let me use the 5 millimeter rondelle, which I like. I like that better. So I'll take this down and I'll remake it. But if you keep your, not mistakes, but your former samples intact as you change the design, you'll be able to identify right away what works for you and what doesn't work. Okay, so 3 beads on a pin. So we've got 2 there, we've got 2 there, again, scaled down. Let's take this 3 beads and a pin. Let's do this again. So I've got a 3rd pair of earrings here. And I'm going to scale this down even further. I'm going to keep using this A dot. I'm going to keep using this guy here. And for my center bead, I'm going to use this rondelle. Okay? Like so. So here's this. And whoops, I need a 3rd bead up at the top. Let me use this 4 millimeter. Let me put it on this side. Let me clear some of this away. Right? And yeah, Paige is saying, take some pictures of your stuff. That is for sure. You can also, if you're watching on your device, you guys, you can take a screenshot of any of these. And of course, you can always watch the replay for this. Someone was saying, I think Pam was saying she wishes she were watching this on the bigger screen. This all goes on to YouTube. And I know many of you with a smart TV are able to watch YouTube. My mom likes watching it on YouTube. So I'm really big on the screen. So watching the replay on YouTube on your smart TV is always a good way to go because you can make this really, really big. Curtis, this is a great question. What are my thoughts on pricing? Earrings like this, especially since I'm fast, right? And you can production line all of these. So let's say that the cost of these earrings, your materials are less than $5, probably, right? I'm just pulling that out of the air. I'm not really calculating in my head. But you can make a bunch of these super fast, especially for the holidays, right? You can make a bunch of these and sell them for $15 or $20, and people love them, right? A $15 pair of earrings, people will get them for all the ladies in their family, especially if they're on a nice little card. You've got your logo and stuff on there, but they're fast, fast, fast. And these are mostly glass. There's a little bit of semi-precious with these, right? But you can calculate that semi-precious. What I would do is I would assign each bead a cost, figure out what your price is, and I would multiply that by 3. And that's what I would sell them for. Just kind of off the cuff out of my head. We had these, as I say, by our register at the bead store, and we'd sell these all day long, right? All day long. So here's our 3 beads, 3 beads on a pin. I saw someone say to repeat this rondelle. So let me try that. Maybe if I do these 3 beads on a pin here. And then I want to show you something with these guys that I'm going to do. But let me put this A dot, the he she. Let me double stack this rondelle here, and then another. I'm going to use this larger coil spacer. And we've taken this 3 beads on a pin to 4 beads on a pin, just like that. So again, same design, but we've just doubled up on a bead. Okay. So let me make another pair of these. So I've got this over here. So I've got 3 pairs already, right? And they're all kind of in a colorway. They all kind of read quote unquote collection, right? Because I'm using a harmonious palette of beads as I'm putting these together. There we go. All right. So that's these 3 pair here. Now, I want to take these guys and we're going to graduate from 3 beads on a pin to adding an articulation, a bit of movement. Sorry, that is off camera. There we go. Let me raise this just a little bit. There we go. We're going to add an articulation here between the bottom and the top so the earrings have a little bit of movement. These all work just as stem earrings like this, but let's bring in our friends, the eye pins. Okay? And just for a simple earring with movement, I'm going to grab these ovals and I'm just going to string them on. Just like that. No spacer, no nothing. Okay. Just like that. Now these are going to join together like this. Okay. Let me also do one of these as a dangle. Let's put this guy down. Let's put it at the bottom. So it's here. Then on my eye pin, I'll omit this A dot and I'll just put the rondelle, the Hishi, and I think I'm going to change course from that 4mm fire polish to that rondelle right there. Okay. Let me do that that last one, and then we're going to put these guys together. How am I doing on time? Okay, we're doing well. Just want to make sure that I have enough time to share some other things with you, other earring related items. So here's that oval on the bottom. Here's that rondelle on an eye pin. And like we talked about earlier, if you're using a muffin tin, you could just scoop all of these beads in the little individual muffin tins, right? And you could get these all prepared. And then you're ready to production line. Whoops, there's 2. Though, look at those 2. Whoops, you can't. Sorry, I was off camera. I accidentally put 2 of the Hishi spacers there, which I actually like better. So I'm going to layer 2 to make it look a little bit different. There we go. All right, I'm going to get my beads off my tray here because it's coming up for Kate to make earrings as quickly as she can. Now we have a great tutorial under our learning space over on beadshop.com. You will see the how to make a rosary loop or a wire wrap loop. I'm going to do just rosary loops or round loops on these guys without wire wrapping. That means, though, that when you make your earrings with just rosary loops, your loops have to be perfect and they have to close perfectly. All right, to use a Martha Stewart-ism, though I don't know if she says perfect as much as she used to. But, you know, Martha would always say, oh, it's coming together just perfectly. And sometimes it would make me crazy, Martha. But in this instance, yes, we really need to make sure that our loops are as perfect as we can get them. So let me show you the anatomy of a rosary loop for an earring. I'm going to use my old school rosary pliers. We carry some kind of new school rosary pliers on the website on Beadshop. These guys we looked for and we found a really good substitute for them. These are my old pair that I've had forever and ever. You can see they say Kate there in marker. I've had these forever, but this is a great tool if you are doing your rosary loops or just your round loops. You can also use just your round nose pliers as well. They don't have to have this cutter in the center, but that's what this rosary plier is noted because it has this cutter here in the middle. Okay. You also need a good pair. I don't have my bent chain nose here. I didn't really trick out my kit as much as I should have. I thought I had more pliers here with me, but you need a good pair of your chain nose. These are actually my personal Xuron chain nose that I'm using today. Um, but I also like a good pair of bent chain nose that I'm going to be a little bit lost with today. Okay, so, but let's talk about the anatomy of this loop first. Okay, and I'm going to use this bead as an example. I have my bead here on my head pin, so this is going to be my bottom dangle. The first thing that I do, you guys, I'm holding this in my non-dominant hand. I'm right-handed. So with holding in my left hand, resting the bead against my index finger, putting my thumb on top of the bead, and inching it up so that my thumbnail is right up kind of next to the wire. With the index finger on my dominant hand, I push that wire towards me or away from me, doesn't matter. But what that does is, you guys, it gives me a nice right angle, and that right angle is the start of a really clean loop. Okay? So after I make that bend, what you want to do is you want to leave just under a quarter of an inch, depending on the caveat here is depending on how big you want this loop to be. All right. However much wire you leave here, when you go to loop it over, that's how large your loop is going to be. So we want consistency when we cut this wire. We want to be consistent every single time. And we want it just large enough that that we have enough to make a loop that's not too giant or a loop that's not too teeny. I go a little over a quarter of an inch and I go to about 3/8 of an inch, about there. Okay. And visually, I've been doing this for so long that I know it's that cut. If I'm using a rosary plier, I'll come in and I'll use that cutter on the rosary plier and I'll come in and I'll look at it and I will clip it away. Okay. If I'm using a separate wire cutter, like this one, I'll come in and when I cut, you guys, especially if you're making earrings with friends, you want to make sure that this piece of wire that's being cut off doesn't go and hit you in the eye or your neighbor in the eye. So I hold on to the bead and I hold on to that wire between my middle and fourth fingers here. Okay. And clip. All right. So now those are done. So now I'm going to go a little bit faster with this, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to bend them all. Bend them all. Hold it right here underneath that rests on my middle finger. The bead is like a little pillow, my index finger. My thumb holds it against that index finger, and I push that wire right over the top of the hole to get that crisp bend. Okay. I'm going to do it again, as I say, at Kate speed. You can, and it's harder sometimes when your earring is longer like this. You want to bend and the whole earring bends like this. So you really want to do that little trick of holding that pin against your finger, pillowing that little bead on your index finger, and then bending. You can see that side view. My fingers kind of keep it straight, bending that pin over your thumbnail. So this is where you start to make your money, you guys, right? Is you've honed your craft so well that you can production line these suckers. Okay? like this. All right, so now I'm going to cut them all. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to cut. And we're leaving that equal amount depending on the size of the loop that you want and how large you want to make it. You want to have those loops be as consistent as you can. Again, I'm using the rosary plier for this, but you can also use, I'll switch it out and use just my wire cutter for that. But as I'm cutting my wires, you guys see how I'm holding them, those wires, in between my fingers like that. Okay. You can also, and Janice is saying this in the comments, and I'll show this because this is a good one also. Once you know how much wire you need for your loop, you can make a small guide with a paper and a pen. You can also cut the head pins all the same length before you begin, especially if you're making all the same style of earring like this, right? You can do that. So if I lay these out, let me get these back into their pairs here. We can see that these are looking pretty consistent. You guys have to remember, I have been making earrings for, I don't know, since 92. So that's a long time, right? Making these loops. Okay, so here's this. All right, so next, and I'm going to put all of these little pieces of wire aside because some of them are long enough to use. And since the head pins have been work hardened, they make great little eye pins. So I'm going to just put these right to the side right here. Put them in a little dish. So now here are these guys. Okay, so now it's time to make the loop. Again, I'll go slowly on a couple, and then I'll go at Kate speed. Okay, so the way I make my loop is I'm going to point this wire right at me. Okay, that wire that I cut. Again, this is my non-dominant hand. I'm holding it with my left hand. Now we're going to look at our round nose plier here. And we want to be consistent. We want to hit that round nose at the same place each time so that our loops will be consistent. All right. We want to make our loop, I'll turn it to the side so you can see it. We're going to grab our wire right here at the end, and in a series of short turns, we're going to curl that wire over so that the end of this wire comes up and around and sits right there at the top of that bead hole. Okay, that's the goal. So I'm going to go up, I don't know, about 1/4 of an inch or so, maybe a little less, on the head of my plier. And I want to make sure, you guys, can you see that? There's no wire sitting out in between here. Okay, it's just nice and flush here. So now I start by doing that first curve, and I'm pushing, I use kind of the tension of my hands to get this right. With my left hand, I'm kind of pushing the earring away from me. With my right hand, I'm kind of pulling the loop towards me. Okay, like so, and I curl it around. Now I stop, rotate my wire back down, but my wire hasn't moved either down towards the tip or up towards the end of the plier here, right? So I just continue to curl that around in those short little steps. Now what I have, you'll feel the wire hit that bead hole. If it hasn't quite hit it, you just grab that wire and pull it in. Now see that loop? Whoops, nope. See that loop? That loop is closed. That's not going anywhere. Okay? So I'm going to do this all a little bit faster at Kate speed. Up and over, right? Roll it around, and I'll do some in a side view. You could mark your tools, you guys, if you wanted to, right? So that you were consistent every time when you do this. And I know people have mentioned in the comments that there are pliers that are marked and stuff like that. I'm a big proponent, you guys, of you learning to use your tools and eyeballing those measurements. I know I make it look easy because I've been doing this for so long. I need to get a little more light here. I'm going to shine a little more light so I can see. There we go. Sorry if there's a little bit of a shadow. But what you want to do is, I think it also, when you learn your pliers, you gain speed, right? Because your muscle memory teaches you how to do this. I haven't made rosary loops, I'm going to tell you, in a while. So I'm not as fast as I usually am. But see how if it comes around like this and it's open, like so, I want to come in, fill that loop with my tool, with the plier. I'll pull it back and then push it forward. And there we go. That's a nice loop. So I'm over halfway there. Here we go. Up and over. You can loop towards you if that works. But the goal, however you do it, the goal is a nice rounded loop that doesn't have too much of a teardrop. Pam was saying the Beat Olympics that I did in deep COVID, those are good ones that you can go back and watch. I did how many loops you can do and how many wire wraps and stuff that you can do. It really helps to limber up your hands. There you go. That's looking pretty good. But you can tell my hands aren't as limber doing these loops as they should be. This one's a little sad. So I'm going to actually get my flat nose plier, straighten everything out. See what I've done here? And let me show you this. See, it's just not a good loop. So let me show you how I fix that. What I'll do is, and I pulled it too far forward. So what I'll do is, I'm going to bend that loop back again to recreate that bend. Okay? Then I'll reinsert my plier and I'll loop it back and I'll stop when I feel that wire hit where it should. And that looks a little bit better. Okay. Janice is asking a question about what if your wire is a bit too long, and I'll address that, as well as what if your wire is a bit too short. There we go. I'm finally, after limbering up, getting my loops back to where they should be. There you go. Sometimes you just have to practice, as do I, right? You don't send a pitcher out on the mound stone cold, right, without going to the bullpen. Same thing with your jewelry techniques, right? You need to warm up those hands and get them limber. Okay, so here are all of my components. Let me show you one. Janice had the question, what if your wire is a bit too long? So let's do one of these with this dot head pin. Okay, this head pin that I'm using in these, the question flashed across the screen, I think from Phyllis. These are our 2-inch head pins here. About a 21 gauge-ish, about that is what I'm using. This is the dot head pin that I really love here with that little dot, that little metal dot at the end. Let me do a couple of beads on here to just get it going. So there's my little bead. So let's say that I've bent my wire and I've come in, I've cut my wire, and I start to make my loop. And I look at my loop, and you can see here that as it comes around, there's going to be some leftover wire. Let me get that trusty toothpick back. There's going to be some extra wire here. Okay. I clip a little bit of that extra away. Then I bring my tool back into that loop and I loop it around. There we go, just like so. Okay. Now, if they are, let's say that your loop is a little small, I'm going to cut a little bit of this away. Or if you've made your loop and your loop is a little too big, you could come in with your loop, with your cutter, cut a little bit of that loop away. Then I'll pull that loop back. And all I do is, if I have a smaller bit of wire, I'll make that loop a little bit smaller. Can you see that there? It's just a little tinier. So that's kind of how you play around with this. You could also just simply cut this apart and do a new loop as well, but that's perfectly fine. Okay. Again, I am a big proponent. I've been, when I learned how to make earrings, back in my day, right? When I was making my earrings, or when I learned to make rosary loops, we really just had this round nose plier or this rosary plier, right? So that's how I learned. That's what worked for me. I'm a big proponent of working that muscle memory into your hands so that you can get by with just, a very simple tool to kind of simplify what works for, and that's what works for me. But you do what works for you. There's all types of different pliers that are out on the market that help you with that. Let me make another one of those, with getting your loops perfect. But a little bit of practice will get your hands making those loops consistent in no time. So let me get one more of these. So I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 6 pairs of earrings now with this, right? So I also want to remember that I made that loop a little small. So I'm going to go ahead and try and make that loop match anyway. Let's see if I can do it. Some people like a smaller little loop. And the smaller loop does have a tendency to stay closed maybe a little bit better, but you also may have an issue with it swinging on your ear wire not as freely. So I kind of like this kind of medium size loop here. Let me get the shadow off of this. There we go. Now that now that I've done those loops. And let's go ahead and open these up and put ear wires on these guys. Okay, so this is where your bent chain nose plier really shines. Okay, and that because I don't have my bent chain nose, I'm a little sad about that. But I'll make sure I know I have them here somewhere in the mess that is my not quite unpacked yet house. So, but I'll get there. I'll get there. We'll do those as lever backs. We'll do these as lever backs. Where's that other little succulent post? I don't know where it is. Don't know. Could have ended up on the floor. But anyway, I'll get the other one, put those on. And then that one, which one shall I do? I guess I'll put that lever back on those again. Here it is. Here's the succulent. All right. Okay, so now let's put these all together. Okay. When I open that loop, and let's go with these tiny ones right here. Again, this is where the bent chain nose super shines, but I'm just going to use my regular chain nose here. I'll come in, and with the tip of my plier, the head of my tool, I'm going to grab that loop and pull it up. I'll get my ear wire, put it on, let gravity kind of pull it away from me. And then I'll grab that loop and I'll push it back down. And sometimes I wiggle it back and forth just a little bit to work harden the loop here. And you really want to make sure and look and see that there's no air in between the end of that wire and the wire that it's butting up against on top of the bead hole. And see with these small loops how this kind of wants to like kind of scoot around a little bit. So this loop on this might be just a little small. So I'm going to go a little bit more at Kate speed, put it on, grab it with the courage of your convictions, push it down. Sometimes I also come in and give it a little hug with the tips of my tool here. So when to open the wire on an ear wire or when to open the loop on top of a stack of beads. If I can, I always open the loop that's on my stack of beads, okay? Because with these ear wires, if I don't have to open them, they've been work hardened, okay? So if you open them back and forth quite a bit or more than a couple of times, the ear wire is going to experience metal fatigue and it's going to break at the loop, okay? So this is a good question here. How do you know which direction for the loops? So Camille, that's a great question. So what I do, and I do this kind of automatically, so it's a great, thank you for bringing it up. My ear wires usually are facing this way, right? This is the side, so the front of the loop is facing towards the front of the earring. So I usually make my dangles so that the loop is facing me like a little face, okay? So what I'll do, and there's a little bit of room on these, they're not so tight that it'll chip these glass beads. I kind of automatically, with my hands, turn all of the beads so my loop is flat and facing me. Then I'll open up that loop, grab my ear wire, put that ear wire on, get the loop back, and place it right down there. And sometimes give it a little hug with my tool there. So now when it hangs, that loop is facing forward. That loop might be just I'm starting to quibble a little bit, but the loop might be just a touch large. I don't know. But you need to take that into consideration because we're going to use these posts next. Okay, so here is this post. I'm going to take it off of this earring clutch. And can you see the loop is facing me on this one? So I could add a jump ring here, but the jump ring would add some length that I don't want. So in this case, the earring is going to go this way. The loop is going to go this way. Now this right here, this earring doesn't have a definite front or a back, so it's going to automatically kind of correct itself and sit in the right configuration, right? So I don't need to worry about it too much. But if this earring definitely had a front or a back, I'd need to make sure that the way I was hanging it was exactly right. So you see that there? It just hangs. All right. So let me go a little faster with this. And again, put that guy on. Close it up. I really like these posts, these little tiara cast posts. It really lets the earring sit nice and closely up towards the ear. Here's that larger one, that woven one. So let me go ahead and open it up. And notice how I'm lifting this post end. I haven't pulled it out like, let me illustrate that. Let me make a loop on this ear wire here, or this scrap of wire. So here's my loop, okay, such as it is. Now, when I'm opening my ear wire, my loop to attach to the ear wire, I want to grab it right here towards the end, and I want to lift. And that opening should be large enough, just large enough for your ear wire to slip on. Then I grab it and pull it back down. Okay? Now, this, if I do it this way, and I put my plier inside the loop and pull it out, see how I've wrecked the roundness of that loop? And if I come in and try and close it back up like this, see how my loop now is all wonky shaped. So you want to lift, not pull out. Okay? So this goes down. And we're almost there. We're going to use those articulated earrings, those two-part earrings next. But look at this, your craft table, your craft show table has 6 pairs of earrings on it already, right? Or almost. I want to show you guys about these lever backs. Now these do open, and you can open them. Like if I'm connecting chain or something here to these, I'll connect it by opening this loop. And the opening in this ear wire, let me see if I can get it really close. See right there? Can you see that opening? Right there. Okay. What I do is I get my chain nose and I grab that loop as close to that opening as I can. Okay. And then I open it just as much as I need to. Then I'll grab my ear. This, obviously, I could have opened this ear wire, right? This loop on this earring. But I wanted to show you how to open these. Okay. So I grab that right there and I push it back down. Now, I could do this probably twice, maybe 3 times with these ear wires before that metal loop becomes fatigued and breaks. The reason that the metal would become fatigued is this metal has, number one, been plated. It's brass that's been plated, and it's been work hardened. So it's kind of like when you overstretch a rubber band, right? And the rubber band loses its oomph. Same thing with these guys here, right? So you just want to be really careful not to go back and forth, and fatigue that metal and break it. But 1 or 2 openings of those ear wires and you'll be fine. Use also, you guys, a light touch when you're opening and closing your, when you have your hands on your pliers. These aren't a lifeline, right? So remind yourself to kind of ease up on the death grip on these tools so that you don't mark your wires up. We go ahead and connect these guys, and then we are good to go. My arm keeps ending up in my head pins over there, so I think they're now all on the floor. But I'll get it. I'll get this space all ready to work in. I'm excited you're joining me for my very first remote location broadcast in my new spot. Speaking of remote locations, you guys, on Friday for Free Tip Friday, I've got a really fun treat for you. We're going to talk about color and creativity. This month I'm trying to touch on kind of kickstarting your creativity, and hopefully these earrings have done that for you. But on Friday we're going to talk a little bit about color. I'm going to be broadcasting to you from where we have our bead retreat. It's also where my mom and I have our quilt retreat every year. And so, number one, it's going to be in a creative location that we haven't been in since 2019. So it'll be great to be back with that at the quilt retreat. But I'm going to share my ebook that I wrote with you guys, that you'll be able to download. and work with, all about color and creativity and design. So, and it's something I use at the bead retreat as well. So stay tuned because the there may be information coming soon about a retreat for 2022 because things are looking a little bit better, which is great. So here are our all of our pieces. Here are 6 pieces. And yes, Julie's question is, so Kate, I am still at Beadshop. Don't worry about a thing. I'm just remote sometimes, and sometimes I will be back in the office. So things are no changes to what you guys see, but it gives me a little more flexibility in my work life, which I'm very, very grateful for. So don't you worry about a thing. You guys won't get rid of me that easily. Okay, so here are these 6. I've got a few more minutes, and I want to share with you a couple more techniques with, I want to show you guys these. I'm going to use the charms for those. And then I did want to just remind you guys about these Marrakesh ones here. These would be great for attaching chain with like jump rings and stuff like that. Little dangles from each of these here. I'll play with these on another broadcast, but this would be a good one to help kickstart your creativity with those. But I do want to show you something with these guys because it's also a great stash buster, stash diver kind of a thing. Okay, so I got some leather cord. This is a 1.5 millimeter, I think. And I'm just going to arbitrarily cut a piece that's, I don't know, not that long, maybe 4 inches or so. And I'm going to, I also forgot jump rings. So if I were making these into like leather hoop earrings, and I went to have these face the correct way, I didn't have a jump ring because I forgot them. But that never stops me, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to check out the beads that I have, do these, and I think they do, these little coil spacers. Let me see if I can use that as a little stopper bead over the tops. So I've kind of angle cut these. These are what we call our good times charm. Yeah, there you go. Look at that. Look at how nice that looks. It's one of Janice's favorites, that's for sure. It has a nice loop. It's 2-sided. And see how that coil spacer just goes right over the top. So now I can come in and I'm going to put that one there like that. I'm not completely sold on it. So let me cut another piece of leather. And there's my other one. Instead of that coil, I'm going to make a knot instead, just an overhand, where I make a loop and pull these 2 through. I don't want the knot to be twisted, so I'm going to untwist it here. Let me get this guy. Maybe I like that coil spacer on top. I think these really, no, I can get it through. I was thinking they really need to be angle cut, but they go. Meh, I don't think that's what I'm looking for. I think I'm going to go back to this one. Okay. Then what I'll do is I'm going to bring this loop back through the top of that crimp. Whoops, you can't see that. So can you see how that is going here? You can also, maybe I could make this might actually be better. I'm going to shorten that up. Can you tell I had no idea what I was going to do with this? Let me get this. So it acts like a little jump ring. Put this back down. Okay. Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to crimp this. So stay with me. Keep picking up what I'm putting down here. I'm going to crimp that flat. Just gentle. You're not building a house. We're just making jewelry here. All right, that's crimped down. I'm going to get rid of the center strand. I don't want to clip that little coil spacer, but I do want to get in there and cut away that extra. All right, so now I'm going to tie a knot there. Maybe I won't tie a knot there. Maybe I'll just put on 2 of these spacers and tie a knot at the bottom. Have it go a little bit longer. I want that knot to end up right there. 1. And then I'm going to go 2. This was just with a scrap of leather. I also forgot to bring leather. So when I went over to my mom's yesterday, I'm all, Ma, I need some leather. So thankfully she had all of her leather in a box. So I got to grab some. But now, Janice, I know your pain of, I need to design. And I don't have anything to design with. Look at that little 2 strander. And have that go down like this, maybe. There we go. Look at that. Then, remember this guy that I did earlier? That little? Let me take the ear wire off of, I want this niobium wire. I could use another jump ring, but I don't have one. So I could put it right on that ear wire. It's actually facing the wrong way. So that's okay. I'm going to open this up. I'm going to play with fire here. Close it. Hold that loop and turn it. So that now the loop is facing forward on that ear wire. Now I'm going to open it. Slide that bad boy on, open it so it fits. And close her up. Let's take a look. That's not too bad for an inventive, right off the cuff kind of little earring, right? Crimped. I could have just put like all of these dangling like this with no charm. I could have done another bead like this, right? I could do that segment on an eye pin and then attach that to that coil spacer and then attach the ear wire. So that's it. It's cute, I think. I Not too bad. You could use Chinese, you could Chinese knotting cord, CKC, you could be inventive, but look at the silhouettes. And remember, I went in and I started knotting this one and it was like, it's not great. Keep these ones that you're like, yeah, this isn't quite right, because then you have something to compare it to, right? These coil spacers are just, I love them. So, and it goes with, here's my pile of all the earrings we made today, right? So we've created this collection because we've worked in kind of a cohesive color palette. Okay. Whew. Oh, that's so funny. Designs and do-overs. She says, was everyone holding their breath when I twisted the ear wire loop? I was too. I was too. But you just have to kind of, with the courage of your convictions, do it, right? And since I know metal, I know how far I can push it. Well, you guys, I think that brings me to the end of our earring extravaganza today. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to be back on Friday for Free Tip Friday, again from a remote location. We're going to have a lot of fun talking about color, about design, and you will have that link to, we're going to put it in our learning section as well, to the ebook I wrote about color and stuff like that. So you'll have that. And then Tony said, this was a good one. I could have made a jump ring from my eye pin cutoffs. Exactly. I certainly could have. I've got them all right here in this little thing. So, and I do have my flush cutters. So I could certainly have done it that way as well. So I don't know. I don't know why that didn't even occur to me. I was so focused on that spacer, I think. But as always, you guys, we really, really appreciate your support and your views. And today only, if you're watching this live, it is November 3rd today of 2021, November already, which is crazy. If you got your newsletters today, you saw that in the newsletter today only, we've got markdowns on two of our earring categories, our ear wires and our head and eye pins. They're marked down 10% off on the website. But if you use one of our codes, our thanks 10, 15, or 20, depending on how much you spend, you'll be able to get, if you use that thanks 20, you'll be able to combine that for up to 30% off of the ear wires and head and eye pins. So if you are doing craft shows or things like that, it's a great way to save a little bit of money on your materials. That is today only, live. If you're watching this live, it is November 3rd, 2021. But you guys, if you are watching this not on the live and you're like, wait a minute, I've missed that, go ahead and go to beadshop.com for information on the project and the products from today's broadcast on our website. Sign up for our newsletter for the latest discounts, giveaways, and new products. I've got some new products lined up. Janice and I have been playing around with some new stuff. I may or may not have some collections coming up, some curated things. So I think you guys are going to love them all. And of course, you guys follow us on our social Instagram at beadshop.com. Join us over at the Bead Table on Facebook. We'd love to have you there, our private Facebook group, which is almost 7,000 members strong. And like and subscribe if you're watching us on our YouTube channel. Hit that like and subscribe button. It really, really helps get the word out about what it is that we do here. We thank you so much, as always, myself and all of the Beadshop team. Thank you, Janice, for your moderating and your words, and of course for Gita for sharing those links across the miles. We really, really appreciate that. So I will see you Friday from the beautiful San Juan Bautista, California, with a good dose of creativity to help you brush away those, I don't know, fall doldrums aren't really a thing, maybe, I don't know, but it'll be a great Kickstarter for your creativity. Then next week, we have a really fun treat for you. Drea has a project that you guys aren't going to believe. It's, I don't even, I can't even articulate it. It's so great. So Drea is going to be with me next week, and we're going to be debuting a new product or project of hers that's going to be perfect for the holidays. You guys are going to want to make them for everyone that you really, really love on your bead list. I'm excited to make mine. So thanks so much, everybody. Watch those newsletters, open those newsletters. We appreciate your support, and I will see you on Friday. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you soon.